Well, hello. There have been some videos come out recently about the Kaweco foldable converter, and I got one. Just got a little battery warning. So I just got one. Now, a couple, see, an ink guy did one recently, Stephen Brown did one, Doodlebud did one, and I'm sure some others did. So I'll try to provide links to the ones I know about down below. So I'm not trying to steal anybody's thunder. I wanted to do something different, so I thought I would look at all of Kaweco's fillers and just see how the foldable, ooh, that leaf is in my face, see how this foldable converter compares. So let's dive into it.
All right, so let's take a look at some converters. To help me out, I brought along a syringe that we can use for measurement. So it goes from 0 milliliters, and then it's marked every 1/10 of a milliliter, up to 1, 2, and 3. So this will be a semi-scientific type of deal. So one of the ways you can fill your Kawecos is, of course, with a cartridge. They do take standard international cartridges. I'm not much of a cartridge guy if I don't have to be. I mean, there's times and places. Sometimes when you're traveling, that's the easiest. But they've come up with several other things. So for their full-size pens, Kaweco has a pretty standard converter. So let's just... I'm going to fill it up to... Oops, let's try that again. So I'm going to fill this up to 1 milliliter. Roughly. And then we'll get all of this out of the way. And then we will just push in not messy ink. And it looks like we put in, well, but about 2 milliliters. So I'd say we filled it full of 8 milliliters of ink in the standard converter. Now that's great if you have a Kaweco Dia, which does indeed already have its converter in it. It's a little bit older one, but it's the same kind of deal. Also, this is before they made them so they screwed in. But same deal. And that brings up another good point. How do these seat? So I brought along a nib unit. I actually purchased it for a specific pen, but it's not being used in that pen, so here we go. So it's got a little nipple for the converter to sit over. So the hole has to fit over that, and it fits in very nicely. All right. Now, when I first got into Kaweco, this is the... These pens are trying to get in here. This was the pen I bought. So this is a Kaweco Sport. Now, this is an older style Kaweco Sport. The nib unit and the feed are a bit different, but it still fits in the same. And I was disappointed it's a cartridge pen, because this wasn't like the vintage ones, which would have been piston fillers. And I found out Kaweco had a converter. Not this converter. Kaweco had a bladder type of converter. Now, I have since found out that there were two different ones. They're both Kaweco. I don't know if they're sold in two sizes. I bought them at different times. But the idea was, you slip in the converter and you just go whoop, 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 till it fills up with ink. As full as it's going to get. So, let's do the same thing. I'm going to fill this up to 1 milliliter, sorry. My students do that all the time. It's not millimeters, it's milliliters! Who's your science teacher? Oh. Okay, so we will inject ink. We got an air bubble in there. Let's see if we can get that out. Alright. So it looks like an ink capacity of, I don't know, 6 to 7 milliliters. And then we'll fill up the smaller one here. So that looks like an ink capacity of, I don't know, 5 to 6 milliliters. And some people eyedroppered them. I never have. So I'm going to fill this up to 3 milliliters. Yeah, at least 3 milliliters of ink. It's at a level now that I may have overfilled it, but, you know. But I've never eyedroppered. So I wasn't a big fan of those converters. But as you saw, I didn't mean for you to see it, but you saw it. Kaweco has this mini converter. Because their standard converter is too tall to fit in that short, stubby little pen. So we'll fill up our eyedropper again. And we'll just start pumping ink in. Okay, so right around 5 milliliters of ink. And then, this was grand, because it fit in the pen. Maybe I should not put this together yet, but fit in the pen. There was room. It was all good. So I've been happy with that for years. So I'm going to set that aside to dry. Before I put it away. But then I bought another Kaweco. Oh! Yeah, I got taken in by the stonewashed finish. This one, by the way, writes better. I'm unscrewing the section off screen for a reason. This one writes better. It's got a little bit better feed. But anyway, so I thought, hey, maybe I'll just use my goddamn mini converter in there. So we put it in. Boy, it sure looks like it should fit. Oops, you can't tell because I put my hand over top of it. There we go. Sure looks like it should fit. Oh, what am I? I'm bumping into something here. So let's just fill up this pen with some non-messy ink. Doing it off camera this time, but there you go, non-messy ink. We'll blot off the end here. I actually just recently did this to a semi-related video. So as I screw on the top here, what's this? That is why we don't use the mini converter. No such trouble with this guy. Alright, let's set all of that aside. 'Cause wait, there's more. Okay. So, then I thought, or I didn't think, I just bought. I went and bought this cute little feller. Oops, I need a Squeezy converter here. I set them all to the side. So this is a Kaweco Lilliput. Fire blue is starting to wear off, so you know your mileage on that finish may vary. And yeah, that's a cartridge in there. So take that off, and let's what the heck? Let's try this. Let's try the mini converter. Oh, hell, never mind. That's not going to work. So then, what if we try the larger Squeezy converter? Nope, never mind. What if we try the shorter Squeezy converter? Yeah, maybe. Ooh, I did not clean this pen out real well last time. But it gives me the chance to illustrate why I'm not a fan of the Squeezy converters. Because whatever ink capacity I told you isn't quite what you get, although you do get ink in the feed and such. Okay. So we'll blot off the nib. Yeah, that fits. And we'll just do it on my finger like I did before. Huh. Alright. So, all this time I could have used the smaller Squeezy converter. But, in honest truth, until I started filming this video and got all my converters together, I didn't know that Kaweco had two sizes of a Squeezy converter, so, there is that. And yes, I do know that it's not technically called a Squeezy converter. Now, off screen here, I'm putting paper towel over the end of it. I'm shaking this nib dry because of my next thing. But I want to talk one more pen before we put this away. So, I think it was last year, a viewer talked me into buying this. This is a Kaweco Supra. If I unscrew it. And it has a very nice full-size converter. But the Kaweco Supra has a secret. It can double as a fat pocket pen. And when it's being a fat pocket pen, no, we're not using that. So if I put the mini converter in it, boop! Nope. So let's take let's do the taller first. If I do the taller of the two Squeezy converters, yes, I know, they're called Aerometric. Don't you know you're supposed to be a fountain pen reviewer? Oh my gosh. I think it would work. So the Aerometric converter would work in this. But you know where this is headed. The engineers at Kaweco have been busy. They came up with this. Now, some reviewers love this, think it's the cleverest thing since sliced bread. Others are saying it's a solution in search of a problem. But it is a foldable converter. Now, when I put it next to the mini converter, they look about the same size. Maybe the foldable's a little shorter, but not much. So let's just see how much of this now contaminated ink I can put in it. So I'm filling my pipette up to 1 milliliter, roughly. So right around 5 milliliters, sorry. So about the same as the regular mini converter. So what's its market? So here we go in the Lilliput. Too tall. Whoop. Whoops. Whoop. Just right. That's its market. The Kaweco Lilliput. Let's see how it does in the Supra. I got so many pen ends here, I'm getting confused. Okay, Supra. Perfect. And what about my stonewashed pen? Boop. Boop. No problem. That's the market that this converter is made for. So it's a solution for only a small subset of pens. But if you have, let's see, set this up for a nice photograph here. But if you have one of those pens, you know. So if you have one of those pens, you know you need it.
All right, so that was Kaweco's foldable converter and the other converters. Now I will put this information in a table down below in the video description, but for your reference, the standard full-size converter has an ink capacity of 0.8 milliliters. The larger Aerometric converter has an ink capacity of 6.5 milliliters. The smaller one, 5.5 milliliters. If you eyedropper the Kaweco Sport, you've got, well, 3 milliliters of ink, maybe a little less. The mini converter has 5 milliliters, and the foldable converter has 5 milliliters. So with the foldable, you're not sacrificing ink capacity. As an ink guy pointed out, it's an extra complication in the apparatus that could lead to problems. It's another point where it can break. But if you need it, you need it. The Aerometric converter kind of went away because people weren't particularly fans of that. So the mini converter took its place, but there were pens that it didn't work in, so you had to use cartridges. And so this is, I think, Kaweco's way of saying, here, you have a converter that you can use in this pen. So, some of the people have said, well, it's a solution in search of a problem. That's the problem. Some of the pens are too small to hold the regular mini converter, and they need this special foldable converter in order for them to fit. Now, I kind of wonder if they could have done a little adjusting on the mini converter and made that fit. But if this is a converter that works for you, it works for you. So yeah, that was a look at all of Kaweco's filling system. So I hope that was useful. It was interesting. And I just had to film this outdoors, so we'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.